will be in absolutely sensational fashion. So as the battle continues, it will be an interesting one. And how on earth is it going to get better than that? Well, I'll tell you, it's got a little bit colder, a little cooler, and the clouds genuinely do look like they want to break at this point. So we could well get this little spattering of moisture over the course of the afternoon. The track is dry. Air temperature is about 10 degrees Celsius at the moment, so it's quite cold. But will it get any hotter than this, and will it get any wetter than this? That's the main question. So the battle is definitely going to get quite interesting. But out in front, on the front row of the grid, it's going to be Mari Boya from first position. But alongside him on the grid is going to be the Flying Scotsman. That man that we are all getting a little bit more interested in, the privateer who is starting to turn heads here, the Scottish boy wonder, Cian Shields, who is in his first ever international competition. This has surprised them as much as it surprised us, you know. They were not expecting Cian Shields to be quite this high. They thought top 10 would be impressive. But over the course of the weekend, he's never been out of the top 6. And he just seems to completely click with this circuit, this kart, these conditions. He just seems to be the man on form at the moment. But can he be the one to topple Mari Boya in a straight fight for the first time? That would be interesting from the front row of the grid. The men he's also got to try and think about in that in the next race is Ronan Patrick Hakala, the Estonian, from the second row of the grid, alongside another very fast racer who has been incredibly quick over the course of warm-up and the practice sessions, and that is Jerzy Spinkovic. Then we have Oliver Behrman and Georgi Dimitrov, Tommy Pintos and Victor Pardo, and Isidro Callejas and Max Meyer. So it's going to be very interesting all the way round. Hello to all of the viewers watching the live stream. There's about 180 of you at the present moment in time. Surely we can do better than that by tomorrow. That's when the main event is coming, of course. And hello to all of those of you who are listening via the Motorsport Podcast Network, Downforce UK, which has all sorts of motor racing podcasts and live coverage through the course of the motorsport season as well. But amazing work all the way through the weekend from the guys at RGMMC. It's all been very good so far. The staff have put on a fantastic show, and a huge thanks as well to everybody at IAME who continue to put on a magnificent show for us, all the technical work behind the scenes, and as well from all of the staff here at the Cartodromo Lucas Guerrero. They've been absolutely amazing all weekend long. We've really enjoyed some fantastic racing in an amazing facility. It's a wonderful race circuit in the heart of the Spanish countryside, just on the southeast coast. And it is wonderful, absolutely brilliant race circuit, terrific conditions considering how cold it is. The rain has stayed off for the moment at least in this very Arctic feeling February weekend. But when the sun comes out and it does clear through the clouds, it is going to be a particularly hot afternoon. So we're kind of hoping it does that sooner rather than later. We're all a bit fed up with our hands in our pockets and woolly winter warmers on. We kind of want proper Spanish weather to appear again. So hopefully it will do. Phil Askey, watching on the stream, says, "Go Georgie." Well, that must be for Georgi Dimitrov, who is going to be competing in this one, of course, from the third row of the grid for Fusion Motorsport. And it's going to be interesting to see how well he does. He was very nearly the winner in his last heat in that fantastic run across the line. If you didn't see it, I urge you to go back and watch it later on the stream from the earlier feed from this morning, because it was a spectacular finish where about 5 of them came across the line within the same breath. And Alex Lloyd only just managing to get there in front of Georgi Dimitrov and Cian Shields. It was a stunner of a race. We've got another one of those to come here, of course, with a much more Spanish flavour, because a lot of the Spanish drivers have managed to work their way into this particular grid. So we'll get to see quite a lot of great racing from this grid. We've just had the whistle, I believe, go for the mechanics in the pit lane, or at least they're about to go for the mechanics in the pit lane, who of course have to clear the grid before we can send them out, but they are ready and waiting to go. You've just been looking at the 38 of Cian Shields alongside the 23 of Jerzy Spinkovic. Very good stuff indeed. And John Cole has been watching the stream. He says, Dexter Patterson's mate, Cian Shields, a great lad and well-deserved to see him right up at the front. Couldn't agree more. We're speaking to Cian yesterday, and they're very mild-mannered about this. They've gone into it just basically taking one session at a time, see what happens. And they have been as surprised as we all are, because he's there on merit, up in the top 6, genuinely gunning for the victory, and he genuinely has a chance at it. And it's amazing to see just how much speed they have got. So it could all go very well indeed. Now let's see how the entirety of the grid looks. We'll run through the entire grid formation now, as there are 24 of them to talk about. So let's make sure we name them all on the run through. So it is Marty Boyer on pole position. Alongside him is Kian Shields. It is Ronan Patrick Hakala, the Estonian, alongside Jerzy Spinkovic on the second row. Oliver Bearman and Georgi Dimitrov are on the third row, from Tommy Pintos and Victor Pardo, an all-Spanish fourth row and an all-Spanish fifth row as well, and Isidro Callejas and Max Meyer. Then it is the Estonian Alex Ivanov and the Frenchman Cesar Gazeau. Liam McNeely from Great Britain, along with the Estonian Ken Oscar Algra. Then it is Olli Pilka of Poland, alongside the German Heralind Norodini. Luca Graziani of Italy, alongside Ivan Limliev. Then it is Linus Jansson of Germany and Ato Samanotio of Finland. And then the last four, Freddie Spinlow of Great Britain, Matis Malanovskis of Latvia, Zach Meakin of Great Britain, and Will Orton, also of Great Britain. And hopefully things will go better for Zach Meakin this time than they did in the last race. It was rather unfortunate for Zach, and he had to have some medical attention, I hear. I'm not entirely sure if he's going to take up the second start, because he did receive some treatment, I believe, for his right wrist. I am hoping that it's just a minor knock and a bit of a sprain, and that he is going to be okay again, but we'll have to double check. Obviously safety has to come first, and the driver's well-being must be maintained above all else. But the team here at Lucas Guerrero Cartodromo has been incredibly professional, and the staff and the health safety teams we have here are very, very professional. We're watching the stream, and Kendi Sagadi has been saying, "Go Patrick." So obviously that is a vote for Mr. Hakala from third position on the grid. So we'll see how well he goes. It is going to be an interesting one for the team here, as they're all gunning for Hakala to do a good job. There's an awful lot of very talented Estonians coming through the world of international karting at the moment. That's a country where I can guarantee you're going to see some really strong talent. And leading the charge from Estonia, and I know this from where I speak, having met him and having watched him race in person, and that is Rolf Aron, who is a very talented racing driver, one of the top 3 drivers in the world of FIA Formula 3, and hopefully gunning for the championship in single-seaters this year. He's a great driver, very talented youngster, and a lovely, charming personality. And he was very famously one of the drivers who managed to get onto the podium at the Po Grand Prix. He was beaten in the end by Dan Ticktum and Lando Norris. Not bad for Rolf Aron, and that's one of many Estonians coming through. You'll see a few of them in this grid as they come out onto the grid. And Marty Boyer getting out onto the pits in feisty speed. He really wants to dominate this. The top. So can he continue it on? Boyer and Shields, Hakala and Spinkovic, Bearman and Dimitrov, Pintos and Pardo, Callejas and Meyer, Ivanov and Gazeau, McNeely and Algra, Pelka and Norodini, Graziani and Lomliev, Jansson and Samanatio, Spinlow, Malanovskis, Meakin and Orton. It will be interesting to see how they go. So the drivers are obviously well in position, trying to get themselves ready. And obviously warm the carts up. And I really do mean warm them up, because it's got quite cold now here in Valencia. Air temperature still at about 10 degrees Celsius. The track is dry. It doesn't look like it's going to get wet, although those clouds overhead, if they do break, are quite dark. And we kind of hope that they don't break into a rain shower. We've been enjoying dry weather conditions all weekend here in Valencia. So if it's all right with you, Mr. Man upstairs, just keep it dry for us. Marty Boyer, however, is looking for yet another top of the session result. The Kids to Win Competición España driver is doing a great job at the front of the field this weekend, and looking to continue on that performance here on the Saturday of the second annual IAME Winter Cup. This is, of course, the precursor to the IAME Euro Series, which sees us go to 4 different locations around the entirety of the European karting scene, starting at Salbris in France next month, and then moving on to Marienborg in Belgium in May. And then we move on to the third round of the championship at Wackersdorf in Germany, one of the best circuits in Europe. And then on to Siete Laghi, which is, of course, the circuit at Castelletto in Italy, in Ferrari country. So down the back straight our race drivers go. Boya, Shields, Hakala, Spinkovic, Behrman, Dimitrov, Pintos, Pardo, Kaliejas, Maya, Ivanov, Gazo, McNeely, Algra, Pilka, Nuradini, Graziani, Lomliev, Janssen, Salmonatio, Spindlo, Malinovskis, Meekin and Orton. And it's going to be quite an intense competition. The drivers are getting ready for the off. Nicely lined up out of the final chicane. This looks like it could be a good start, is it? They're going round again. They're going round again. So obviously not a clean start. So we'll have to do that one all again, unfortunately, as the drivers get ready for the off. Now, that's obviously because the starter is not happy with the way that the grid was formed up, so they'll have to try all over again to get it right. Does happen from time to time. So the drivers will just have to put themselves back into position. Now, they've got to be absolutely within the white lines on the grid hatchings. We're just checking around the circuit to see that everybody has made it onto the starting grid. I think we've got a completely full grid. We'll double check, but as far as I'm aware, everybody who was due to start the race is still going to be starting it. At the back of the grid, I think I do see Zach Meekin, so it's good to see that whatever issues he had earlier on seem to be all done and dusted now, and hopefully he'll be charging his way through the grid after what was a disappointing day by his standards, more mechanically than it was by his own driving. He's a very talented racer, is Zach Meekin. So let's see how it all goes. They form up in position, and they come out of the final S's now. Where is the grid, actually? The other side. It's all gone a little bit pear-shaped from that side. And the racing is on. Here we go. Anybody on the odd side of the grid got a good start. And that means that out in front, it is Marty Boyer. Once again, Marty Boyer gets a good start. Now, where is the rest of the field in relation? Well, Kian Shields was the leading car on the even side, and he is now in 4th position. So that's not too bad, actually. The evens didn't get too bad. Oh, there's a bit of a spin in the middle. That's one of the Estonians that's gone wide there. Now, I think that is going to be the 13 that has gone a little bit sideways there. If we had a 13, I think that might be the 15, actually. That is Ken Oscar Algra, who got a little bit sideways in the middle of turn 5. But fortunately, he is okay, and he has continued on his way. Down the back straight, though, Marty Boyer is doing what Marty Boyer does best, leading at Valencia. He's out in front, looking good already. However, he has got a bit of a cavalry chasing him down. Second position is the 46 and the 51 in there behind as well. So it's all gun for Hakala and Behrman. Kian Shields is in 4th. Dimitrov, Pintos, Kaliejas, Spinkovic down in 8th place. Not a great start for him. Gazo is in 9th. Maya, Pilka and Ivanov. It's an amazing start for Zach Meekin, by the way. I was just keeping an eye on him. He's up into about 18th position from the back row of the grid. And he's made up another place or two as we've got somebody about to pull off the circuit, I believe. Yep, someone is pulling off at turn 5. We've got a mechanical problem at turn 5. So that is a race ending there. That's a real shame. We'll just double check on who that is on the far side of the circuit as the rest of the field continues on. But we have one retirement, and it's at turn 5. So we'll pick up the pieces of that one. It was just on the crest of about 16th or 17th position. We had a little bit of a moment there for one of the drivers pulling up at Marshall Post 6 and retiring from the race. We're getting spots of rain. We're getting spots of rain on the window of the commentary box. So it is starting to drizzle a tiny bit. I was wondering if we're going to get any rain on the circuit at all, but the rain is starting to fall. They said at the start of the day a 10% chance of rain. Well, that's the 10% you should have bet on. Out in front, it is Marty Boyer from Behrman, Shields, Dimitrov, Hakala, Pintos, Kaliejas and Spinkovic, and we have got rain, and it was the Italian who was out on the first lap. That is, on the second lap, sorry, that was Luca Graziani. So Luca Graziani, unfortunately, is out of the race, and it is starting to rain here at the Valencia circuit. Just a little drizzle at the moment. It's nothing too heavy, but that is going to be what they call psychological rain. And with it not being so heavy, it's going to make the track a little bit slippery. It's that minefield that drivers hate, that flirty point between dry and wet. And that's going to make things very unpredictable for the rest of the day. But out in front, it's Marty Boyer leading at a canter. Second place is the 51 of Hakala. Oh, that's Behrman, sorry. Behrman has come through. So Hakala's right down to 6th position. So Oliver Behrman is now in 2nd place in the 51. Up to 3rd place, however, comes Georgi Dimitrov. Dimitrov moves up into 3rd place. 4th is Kian Shields. 5th position now is Tommy Pintos. And then it's Patrick Hakala in 6th place ahead of Isidro Callejas, Cesar Gazo, Jerzy Spinkovic and Max Meyer. And it's all getting a little bit hectic as dropping down another position. That is the 11 of Cesar Gazo, the Frenchman, losing a place there to Jerzy Spinkovic. Spinkovic makes the move on the inside. Cesar Gazo tries to come back at him a little further back down the order into the left-hander before the back straight. And Cesar Gazo gets back through. So Jerzy Spinkovic loses 2 places there because also going through was Max Meyer. Meanwhile, Georgi Dimitrov's going for 2nd position. He needs to give his colleague a bit of a helping hand here because look at Marty Boyer. He's dominating out in front. Back to the front of the queue. Then goes Georgi Dimitrov. And that's going to put Oliver Behrman wide. Kian Shields is going to get through. So too is the 28 of Tommy Pintos. Tommy Pintos gets through past both of them, in fact. So Tommy Pintos now goes through into 3rd position, chasing down Georgi Dimitrov. So it's Marty Boyer who leads. 2nd, Dimitrov. 3rd, Pintos. 4th is Kian Shields, I do believe. Or is that Oliver Behrman back in front now? Hard to tell because they've got similar Tony carts. No, it is Behrman in front of Kian Shields for the moment. Then it is Ronan Patrick Hakala in front of Isidro Callejas, Jerzy Spinkovic and Olli Pilka. The 2 Poles are together on the circuit in the unique racing carts, obviously using each other to help each other out. No, Cesar Gazo's gone back through. So Cesar Gazo gets past Olli Pilka. Down the back straight, it's getting a little bit desperate to try and close up on Marty Boyer now. And look at the lead that Marty Boyer has got with 2 laps to go. This is absolutely incredible. Marty Boyer is a million miles ahead as Kian Shields now makes the move on Oliver Behrman. Shields is going to commit to this into turn 1. Beautifully done. Kian Shields up to P4. Now trying to close up on the man in 3rd position. That is Tommy Pintos. But in 2nd place is Georgi Dimitrov. So Georgi Dimitrov running in 2nd position, trying to clip down the gap to Marty Boyer. But Georgi Dimitrov, the leading Brit, as he desperately tries to get that gap to Marty Boyer, is absolutely miles ahead. How has he done that? So much of a scrap for 2nd position that they just let him run away from it. And up the inside, that looks like another position made up there for the Spaniard, Isidro Callejas, making the move on Ronan Patrick Hakala. Down the back straight once again. And into the final chicane comes the man who's leading this race at a canter. Into the final lap goes Marty Boyer. Into the final lap now goes Georgi Dimitrov. My word, the gap is amazing. Now, Oliver Behrman's defending big star from Kian Shields. I think they've resigned themselves to the fact that a podium isn't going to happen today. And so they're racing amongst themselves. 2nd place is Georgi Dimitrov, getting away from Tommy Pintos. Good work, it has to be said. But Oliver Behrman holding up Kian Shields. Kian Shields is trying his best to get there on the inside. Right, left. Again, unfortunately for Kian Shields, being on the even side of the grid really compromised his start, as it always does for the evens here. And he's really had to fight his way forward, but he's doing well. He's holding himself very equitably. Doing a good job trying to get on the inside of Oliver Behrman. He's going to get there this time, and he sweeps by. Kian Shields gets through past Oliver Behrman. Now he's got to hold it to the finish line. But the checkered flag is already going to fly for Marty Boyer. He's dominated every practice, every quali, and both races now. Marty Boyer dominates. 2nd place for Georgi Dimitrov. And there's a little bit of a fisticuffs at the end of the race as Oliver Behrman drops back behind Jerzy Spinkovic. So it's Marty Boyer from Georgi Dimitrov and Tommy Pintos. Kian Shields is 4th from Isidro Callejas. Patrick Hakala, Jerzy Spinkovic, Oliver Behrman, Cesar Gazo, and rounding out the top 10 is Max Meyer from Alex Ivanov of Estonia, the German Herolin Nuradini, Victor Pardo of Spain, from Olli Pilka of Poland. Ken Oscar Algra of Estonia is 15th ahead of Zach Meekin, all the way up to 16th. What a fight back from Zach Meekin. Good job. And a really good fight back there from the youngster. Just in front of Freddie Spindlow in 17th place from Ivan Lomliev, Linus Jansson, Atisama Nautio, Liam McNeely, Matis Madanovskis, William Orton, and the only non-finisher, the Italian Luca Graziani. So a great race there in the end and a fantastic dominant victory from Marty Boyer. If you ever wanted to put money on anybody to win the IAME Winter Cup, then rush off to the bookies now and put it on Marty Boyer. He has dominated everything at the moment. Although John Coyle has pointed out on the stream, must say, Oliver Behrman is a revelation in X30. He's a good point, you know, straight from Honda. Although he had a little bit of a disappointing end to the race there, you only had to look from his feisty, fighting attitude. He has taken to X30 like a duck to water, and I totally agree with John Cole in stating that Oliver Behrman is one to watch this year. couldn't agree with you more. He really does